Well, a very warm welcome to another episode of Fauza's Diary. If you are looking for something little and yet inspiring, then you have stumbled upon the right show. That's the beauty about my diaries. They inspire us, they encourage us, but also they make us think. Joining me today on this particular conversation is Mom Yvonne Kgame, all the way from South Africa, a woman full of wisdom, resilience, faith, undoubted faith, power, strength. There is so much she's carrying. One of those women who, when you come across, you just want to lay down and listen because she has so much wisdom. And she shares with us today her experiences of all these decades, personal, work life. She is one woman who I am so thankful to call a mother, Mom Yvonne. Thank you so much for taking your time to join me on this conversation on Fauza's Diary. Welcome, Mama.
It is only a pleasure, Fauza. Thank you so much. I'm equally grateful for this opportunity. Thank you also for a heartfelt welcome. I have faith that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice in it.
Amen.
And whatever we share will
Amen.
be light to those who will be listening to us.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Mom Yvonne, I know you've done quite a lot of things in your life. And I cannot stop to mention how you carry yourself with dignity, with grace, with you are full of love. You radiate love, Mom Yvonne. You have done so much in your life. You are a teacher. You raise the bar in the media. You are a mentor. You are an author. You are a mother. You are a wife. You are a grandmother. Mom Yvonne, I want us to talk a bit about a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your career path, because when people, they see you, when they will hear us as this candid conversation carries on, they will be like, wow. But I just want us to go back, from the, back in the days. How has this life been for you career-wise? And, we've all gone through ups and downs. And I always say that it's so easy for people to see the glory when they don't know our story. But I know you have had your glamour, especially in the media. Please talk to us a little bit about that, Mama.
Oh, that is so powerful, Fauza. And yes, you are right. Every story has a beginning, the middle, and the end. Let me just start with my roots. Mom Yvonne comes from humble beginnings. I was born here in South Africa. Both my parents were hustling, working so hard, inspired by their faith and hope that one day our girls and our sons live a much better life. Through thick and thin as a family, stumbling to try and make a better living. And I have to take this moment to be grateful for the vision that our parents had, the faith and the hope and the sacrifices that they made. They made wise choices and decisions that, you know what, We don't have everything what we need. Our life is not easy. We're struggling financially. We don't have enough resources. But what we do have for these children is deep love and is the power to inspire them to be better.
Yeah.
What we've gone through. So I was raised in that way. That's what gave me the passion, because when you're raised with love in one way or the other, you love yourself too. So I grew up with that passion, loving to do good and being purposeful as well, because that's what our parents instilled in us. That yes, today might be a struggle, today might impose a lot of challenges and limitations to you because we don't have enough resources. That's not the end of the road. And we've got something extraordinary that you cannot buy from any supermarket that we're going to give you. We will invest in educating you. We will teach you about the power of faith. We'll pray for you. We'll love you. We'll guide you. We'll instill all the values. And we would like you to be bold enough to follow your dreams. So that's where I come from. So that, and that's what made me not so much to focus on the pain and the difficulties and what we didn't have. Because we were encouraged to look at the brighter future. And that's what gave me the desire to be a teacher, to live a purposeful life, with the wisdom that I got from my parents. And when I say parents, I think as an African woman, you would know better, Fauza.
Yes.
About the whole village that runs, mamas, all the babas, the uncles, the aunts, and everyone who is touched with the whole village, who gave us stories and songs of hope that there will be a better tomorrow. Strength is yours, amandla awethu. That's the mantra that was chanted to us. And it is for that reason that I had patience. Today might have ups and downs, but that's not the end. And I had to persevere. So if you ask me that, despite the setbacks, despite the weaknesses, despite the limitations, how did I get where I am? Is the passion, is being inspired to live with purpose right from an early age. Is the patience that I was giving, is the perseverance, is the prayers, and is the power within me that was awakened, because someone needs to tell you that you are greater than you are. You've got everything that you need. Yes, there might be weaknesses, but use your strength. The opportunities are waiting for you out there. And then go through education. Be a lifelong learner so you can be empowered, sail through. So that's the background, and that's what inspired Mom Yvonne to be a teacher through and through.
Wow. Those roots, they are so deep. It reminds me actually when I was doing the Women Leading in Change program, and you were one of our teachers in this program. And we had to we had a session about, the tree of life. And when you spoke about the roots, for me, I feel your roots have been so grounded. They were so deep. They are so deep that even with the hailstorm, even when the tree shakes, it's still grounded. It's because it's so deep, it's under there. I love that, Mom Yvonne. And the power of love. Love heals. Love, love. Love is the beginning of everything, isn't it? That is so beautiful. But I also love what you said, that, you know, your parents didn't have everything. They loved you and they made sure that they gave what they had, and they emphasize on don't focus on what you don't have. Look at the blessings of what you already have and see what you can do with that. That leads me to my next question for you, Ma'am Yvonne, because I know you are a storyteller. You love telling stories, and you always say that there is so much power in sharing our stories. And I too believe that when we share our testimonies, it really does something. It gives hope, faith is restored, and all that. And you just always love to emphasize on telling our stories. Why do you find it so important that we tell our stories, Ma'am Yvonne?
Oh, Fauza, over and above that, that's also one of my roots. We've been raised by Makoko in a village. The memories of that campfire, we used to sit around there and listen to stories, because remember, there were no books, there was no social media, television, no radio, no encyclopedia, but all we had was these loving parents and grandparents and great-grandparents who were there to share in the first place their life lessons, their experiences. And that's the opportunity that they used to take it to instill those values in us, to ground us, to give us that unshakable, solid foundation, which contributed to who we are today. So the reason why it's important to not only to listen to each other's stories, but to tell our own stories. Stories heal. Stories inspire. They also help us to be critical thinkers, to imagine things, to dream things. They inspire hope in us. They share with us the lessons and the teachings of what other people go through. And over and above that, stories are just fun. Remember, life is not just about pain and weakness and being serious, it's also about joy. And what I love about stories, because we usually think that we're just here to exhaust ourselves and work and work and work, but we are here to live fully. And when you live fully, yes, you will have those moments of dealing with what you need to deal with, because that is life. You and I know that if everything was easy, was smooth, there were no problems, we would even wonder, life, it would be something else.
Absolutely.
But balance is critical. And what we know about pain is that it doesn't last forever. And hence, it's important for us to share our stories. One other thing, Fauza, is that if you don't share your story, if you don't say what needs to be said, if your voice is not heard, that alone is a disease. And that's where a lot of health challenges from a lot of people in this world yearn to be listened to. But not only that, they also desire to break through, to let go, to say that which has not been said. It could have been the pain that we're keeping in our hearts. It could have been the sad memories, our childhood, things that have happened or did not happen to us. And some people, especially women, don't share enough sad things that they went through. It could have been sexual abuse or emotional or physical abuse or anything. So once you keep all those things in your heart, the guilt, the anger, what you feel about being let down, being trade and all of that, it becomes a problem. But there's the other side as well, because that's what I love about story. The deeper you go deep, and release all the toxic stuff that are hiding there, that needs to go out there so you can be free at last. And when you do that, something gets revealed. You actually unleashing your own potential. You find your inner treasures, you find your peace, and you become so free that you can live a purposeful life and what you love, and also to believe in yourself. Because when you go through life and walking with all those things that are sitting in there that are for you, even your energy resembles that.
Yeah.
Even how you present yourself to other people, they just capture that negative spirit. And it is for that reason that I encourage people to tell the stories, because remember, in life, you're not an extra. You each have a unique talent and a purpose and a specific calling why you came to planet Earth. So telling the stories also gives us the opportunity to be who we are, to manifest our own purpose, and just to bring light to others, be a blessing to others. And someone could be sitting out there and saying, oh, now I know I'm not alone. I've also been thinking about this. Oh, I've been through that. Now I've discovered how other people are navigating their tribulations in life, but also how other people are celebrating their greatness, how other people are finding opportunities to do the best they can, because we are here to love ourselves and live each other, to live fully, so that we don't die with that song or with that story in our hearts, but to remember that we are not alone. We're here to serve as well. So sharing a story is part of serving, saying, here's who I am. Yeah, and let's journey together in life. That's what it is about.
Wow. I told you guys that Mom Yvonne, she's full of wisdom, and that's what I said. It's one of those women you just want to sit down with a cup of coffee or tea, your bush tea, whatever drink you like, and just listen. That's exactly what I said to you guys. And wow. What a powerful conversation today with Mom Yvonne. And I am so filled with so much gratitude that we are actually having this conversation today. And I really pray that, as you are watching us converse, join this conversation, in a way that it can inspire you as well. And yeah, the power of sharing your story, as you've heard from Yvonne, it's so important, because your story is unique. And, if we don't talk about our stories, they're going to get wasted, honestly. And you will never know who might actually be, empowered when they hear you share about your journey. And like Mom Yvonne says, it's not only about the pain and all that. It's also the joys of life, gratitude and, love, and so much we can talk about if you think about how important storytellings are. And yeah, Mom Yvonne, you have done so much, as a leader. You have decades of experience, but I know that sharing our stories is equally so important as personal development, especially to our young generation. Mom Yvonne, I want you to address to this generation, is it the XYZ or the millennials? I don't know even which group I belong to, but I don't think I'm from that group. Please talk to them how important it is for self-development. And I say this because, you know, there is just so much, Ma'am Yvonne, you know, you just shared with us that back in the days, you would sit on a campfire, you know, and maybe you are roasting some corns, you know, or yams or cassava, you know, as you're having tea, and grandmother, grandfather, aunties, they're sharing these wisdom stories to you, you know. But nowadays, there's just so much on a click of a button, you know. People have been taken to a whole sorts of things, and it has changed some things, you know, the current world we are living in. Equally, it's good, but it has also created a lot of unhappy people. And the problem is it has brought comparison as well. Instead of working on ourselves, we see what Ma'am Yvonne has or what she's doing and this and that. What would you tell our younger generation on the power of self-development and working on themselves? Not what everybody has, them, me.
Absolutely, Fauza, that is so important. And just reflecting on what you captured in our previous question, it is so valuable and so necessary to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, I guess you will get lost. And just like Alice said in Wonderland, you'll be asking cats, where am I going? So it's important to know yourself. And once you know yourself, once you have that awareness, accept yourself just the way you are. That's the beginning of greatness. Embrace yourself. And now that you're aware, you've accepted yourself, then that's the time to take action. Follow your path. Stay lane. I like what you have said, that competing will limit possibilities for you, because you might be actually following a wrong lane, and you might be competing in spaces where you're not necessarily neglecting your own calling. I love young people because I think they are great. And they are the leaders of tomorrow. Begins now. The first step that I would suggest to all of us, parents out there, coaches, mentors, and leaders, is that let's involve young people in solving their problems and creating a better future tomorrow, because they've got potential and they've got the skills. And let us not be impatient when we feel that the baton is not received, because our parents were patient. Just be patient and persevere, and inspire them to listen so they can create a better future for themselves. But there are a few things that I would like to share that inspired me as a young person, because remember, yes, we've lived for 6 decades, but at some stage you were 6 years old, it's another space, 16 or 26. So that's why it is so important to create synergy between the elderly and the young ones, because they've been through that path. It might not necessarily be the same. Some might just say that, oh, you now with the ancient tricks and all of that. But there are things in life that never change, no matter how you look at them. And that's what you need to tap in. Yes, as the elderly people, we also need to learn new things and adapt ourselves and understand the challenges of today. It's also important for us to unlearn things that no longer suit young people today. But I tell you that there's a lot that we need to relearn. Things that ground you, those roots, the wisdom, and the values that have taken us where we are. So the first thing that inspired me and empowered me and helped me to break through, to rise above adversity, was to commit to be a lifelong learner. That it's never enough. Knowledge is the only thing that I know that the more you give, the more it grows and expands. And as things change, you always need new skills. Right now, we're going through global warming. We've got the challenge of COVID-19 and many other things, and information becomes power. And the skills to navigate become necessary. But in lifelong learning, what made it easy for me is that I had a personal vision and a dream. I knew that no matter what, I'd like to be a teacher. I can use different modes of teaching, as I've taught in the classroom, taught as a publisher, or as a broadcaster, and in different ways. So once you've got something that centers you, that you're all calling, that made it easy for me. And I would encourage young people today to find that calling, to live a purposeful life.
Wow.
We didn't have so many resources, so self-leadership was key for me. I needed myself to find out things, to know that I can't do everything on my own. I need mentors, I need coaches, I need a network, I need forums that will inspire me. And it's for that reason that I participated in many forums and would always throw each and every resources that helped me to manage my development. But first, you need to know where you're going.
Yeah. Because if you don't know where you are going, you will not even know what you need, isn't it, Mami?
Yes.
That is so powerful.
And you will be following others, you'll be comparing yourself, you'll be competing, and that will discourage you because, you know, it's just a gamble, and life is not about that. As I say, you're not an extra. You're here for a specific purpose. You better know it. And once you know it, you better love it. And once you love it, you better take action.
And get involved. I love that.
And get involved, yes.
Know what your calling is. That's what Ma'am Yvonne is reminding us. Wow. Now I want us to talk about YBK Consulting. Yes, I want us to talk about that and what it is and what because I know you love service, you love serving. I know you are a giver, you are a servant, you know. So what is it YBK Consulting about?
Fauza, YBK stands for my name, full name, Yvonne Busisiwe Kgame. And that was, yes. Yeah, and that was a decision and a choice I made when I took my early retirement, which was prompted also by health issues, having been through a double stroke and a brain tumor. And I thought to myself, now that the left brain is injured, but the right one is working. So let me establish and then this channel that I can use to inspire others, to teach, to mentor, and share my experience just as a human being, as a mother, and everything else. So that is why what YBK is all about. It's just a drawing on the treasures that we accumulated the past 60 years of my life, and all the gifts that I also received from all the sacred encounters and the teachers that I met. So I use that opportunity to do that. And because I love story, and I believe stories never die, so I like encouraging people to author and own their own stories. So Yvonne loves writing as well. I've published a few books on my own, but it's my calling as well that let's, especially women and Africans, let's document our indigenous knowledge, our wisdom, so it can live forever and it can inspire generation to generation, so they too can shine their light.
Absolutely. I love that. There is so much power in telling our own stories, because as African women, when we tell our stories, we are telling them from the right source, not from what the big media news they want to share. It's coming, I always say, it's coming from the main source, from the horse's mouth. And that is so true, Ma'am Yvonne, and I just love that, despite, your health challenges, you didn't just let it stop you. You said, okay, I'm going to use my right brain. That was so powerful. Now, I want us to have, because I know your faith is so, your faith, it's like what the Bible says, when your faith is as little as the mustard seed, you can tell to this mountain, be moved and be put to the sea, and it shall be so. And every moment, Mama Yvonne, I've had a quick conversation with you, even on the WhatsApp, like a quick chat. I always feel the conviction in you that your faith is so unwavering, it's so strong, that despite the challenges, you always stand firm. Now, has there been a moment, though, that your faith was tested? Because I always believe that I think the journeys we encounter, the things we go through, when we search during the process of healing and restoration, right, it makes you seek God more. And I just want you to share a bit of that, Ma'am Yvonne, because, you will never know. Someone else might be going through similar, and they will hear your testimony and be encouraged. So have you been in a situation, you just shared about, using your right brain, and I want us to go a little bit in there. How did you deal with that? What did you learn about yourself? Because of that journey, you bathed YBK Consulting.
Yes. So, every crisis can bring blessings, that is for sure. But I think, Fauza, it's important to also that with humility, I also share honestly with that, there are so many tests that we come across in life. And those tests for me started at a very early age. Interesting, my other name is Busisiwe, which was given by my grandmother, and it means a blessing. And when my parents were tested in their marriage, they actually lost 4 girls in their infancy. So the test came even before I was born, because then in my parents' mind already from conception is that, will this one survive?
Right.
There was just my other sister who died before me. So that's courage and strength and belief and what needed to be entrenched right even when I was in my mother's womb, and it got tested when I was 5 years old. I lost my grandmother, who actually relieved my mother and said, let me spend a lot of time, so I will raise this girl. Let her be a blessing and survive. So for me, as a child, not to see her again, I thought she had abandoned me. That feeling of sadness and of loss and maybe thinking I'm being abandoned. That was the first test in my age, and that what meant my maternal grandmother was Swati, and which means in my early days, that's a language I used a lot. So the second test was, young as I was now, to go to a Catholic school in a place here in South Africa, in Krugersdorp of St. Peter's, and the language was Setswana. I knew nothing about that language, but I needed to persevere, to be patient. I used to cry when they used words that I did not understand. I remember one where they said, Litling Pakela, which means your shift the following day now is in the morning. And Pakela in Siswati, I thought they wanted us to cook and dish up. And I was wondering how I was going to do it at school as a 5-year-old. So I navigated all those things, and my biggest test as a teenager was to leave my home at the age of 15 and go by train to go and be a boarder in the boarding school. So that again, that test of leaving your parents behind, going to a new place, you're not gonna see them until in 6 months, because we only used to go home in June during winter holidays, and then December to come back in whatever. So that was a big change in my life. I tested me a lot. I was fearful. I was fearing also not to be abused on trains as we're going there, but we were guided so well. So that tested me a lot. And the next test was my first day of assembly as a teacher. I taught at a secondary school, and I was in my early 20s. So as you can know, that those students were more or less your age in one way or the other. So I was so anxious at assembly. I asked my students to sing. They didn't. They all kept quiet and looked at me, and I became so afraid. Then I started the song myself, and they sang along, or we prayed and all of that. So afterwards, I asked one of the class members, why didn't you sing when I asked you to do? They said, no, ma'am, you are so young, and it was just so nice to look at you. So you see, some of the things that we think are meant to be against us as people are just in awe.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, I enjoyed teaching for almost 10 years. And I made a transition to go to publishing. And that was another test now, learning new skills, being in a different place. I've never been in restaurants before, whatever. So even my welcome lunch was a nightmare. So not being used to Italian food and so on, not liking my pasta that I've chosen, things like that. And once I settled, and I think the lesson for us there is that when we rise above adversity, when we take courage and have confidence to do what we believe in, what we love, there'll always be a breakthrough. That doesn't mean that there wouldn't be stumbling blocks, or there won't be pain, or there won't be any moments that we doubt. We will, but in life, when that happens, the question is where to go, what do you do, and how do you move forward so that you are not stuck in that. Then from publishing, of course, I went to broadcasting. I wanted to hide myself when I saw the first program that I led editorially. It was so ugly. Because public broadcasting is about information, education, and entertainment that I was comfortable with, but translating the story into a television program is something that I needed to master and learn. But there, I spent 17 years doing the best I could as well. So it's that I could say. And then when you've got faith, and you must always have something that centers you. And Yvonne's journey is the power of prayer, the power of meditation, being silent and waiting for those moments to see the light. So I do a lot of that, and thank God that was a gift that I was given both by my gogo and my parents and my village family. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ma'am Yvonne. Our time is almost winding up, and I would like for us to, you've shared so much, but I also want us to touch a bit about your book, because, you're an author, but you're also a publisher. So talk to us a little bit about your books, your work.
Yeah, so my first book was inspired by my journey. It was a miraculous awakening. It's called Infinite Grace. And that is where I wrote about the whole journey, from recovery to discovery. Yeah. And from being on that death crossroad to finding myself. Those moments of living fully. Yes, our bodies are not gold. One day we will have to go back where we come from. But when you've had a blessing and a second chance of life, so my story, Infinite Grace, shares a lot about that, the secret encounters that I met, people who were part of my healing journey, the healing lessons and what it means, what life means to me at this moment, and what I'm committing to do. And of course, I've got a short story book, the poetry one as well, Busisiwe and Busisiwe. And Busisiwe is also another book that just shares as well, what happens if you have to retire before you're planning, which is what I'd like to inspire young people to do, that always think about those days, because yes, we're all positive, we all plan things our way, but things can go differently. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know if you visit my website, Infinite Grace, www.infinitegrace.co.za. There are all the books there, and then in fact, I've just shared a chapter, the free chapter for people to be inspired about my mantra. No later, you can learn more about it when
you get
yes.
Wow, what a powerful testimony, Yvonne. I know we can be sitting here and keep going and keep going. And I just love your, your faith. For me, your faith is what keeps on, inspiring me and encouraging me. And I would like for you to give a few takeaway, for us today. You will I mean, everybody has a story, everybody has a journey, everybody's going through different seasons, despite COVID and the calamities. It's flooding in Holland. In Kenya, there is some killings, kids have been kidnapped. And in South Africa, you're going through, the issues there as well. And, we have COVID, and there's just so much going on. So people, despite the common issues that we all have the same problem of COVID, there are people who they are going through different personal seasons in their house. Could be marriage is falling apart, teenagers who are going astray, and there's just a lot, Ma'am Yvonne. And this moment, I would love for you to take a few minutes to to talk to us about how can we be still despite all the odds and know that God is who He says He is.
Yeah, that's a deep calling. The first thing that I'd like to remind all of us is that this is not the first time we're experiencing change. Change is certain, and change will always be there. And when the world around you is in havoc, when you have lost everything else, please do remember that what you have not lost is your inner strength, your inner power. And you might not have ways like Mom Yvonne had. I was lucky in my life to meet, even before my trauma, meditation teachers, to engage with my priests, to be in the company of praying women. If you can't tap into your inner power yourself, then seek for help. You've got coaches, you've got mentors, you've got priests, you've got pastors, you've got counselors, and you've got books to read and stories to listen to. Those of you who are on social media, choose wisely. Look for those things that foster positive energy and that inspire you. And do remember all the time that you've got what it takes. You've got all you need. You must just find your GPS. How do you get there? As you would remember that with Mom Yvonne, when I left the hospital, going home saying, we care, would like to support you, but at this point we are unable to help you. So who do you go if your doctors have reached a wall? You go to your creator, you go to source, you go to that inner voice and you listen, you get guided. And it is for that reason, even because of the reality of what I went through, is I could have died. And my doctors were right to say, but we don't know whether it will take you 7 days or 7 weeks. And so what has kept me for 15 years right now is that which I am advising you, that never forget that you are not alone, but also that there is God, whoever you call God. There is that source that is greater and bigger. And you can just deeply surrender and say, I let go. I'll do what I can to change what is changeable. The rest, I give it to you. And just to surrender and say, let it be.
Wow. 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 Thank
then
you
it
so
becomes
much.
effortless.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
if you can't control it,
Mm.
I always say if it's beyond my power,
Mm.
then I release you.
Yes.
Because when I release you, I will get some strength for myself. I will draw from within. I will get, I will be inspired from within. My strength will start to, to get better. Even my mental, the mind sometimes, it also changes and see things slightly differently. What a journey, Ma'am Yvonne. Thank you so much for joining me today on this conversation on Fauza Diaries. And I pray that the Lord be with you and guide you. May his face shine upon you, and may he be gracious to you all the days of your life. All the days of your life.
What a pleasure. Received with love, and I equally wish you all the blessings. May God guide you, continue to protect you, and may everything that you touch bring light to those that you encounter and continue to be a blessing to all of us. Thank you.
Amen. Wow. Thank you guys so much for joining us, for joining me and Ma'am Yvonne all the way from South Africa on this particular conversation on Fauza's Diary. I would really encourage you to find your GPRS, as Ma'am Yvonne has said, and don't be caught up, in the chaos of this world. Be still and know that he is God. He never sleeps nor slumber. He's with you all the time, even in this moment, wherever you are at this particular time. Don't forget to share this conversation. You will just never know who might be needing a word or two, from Ma'am Yvonne, as she has shared so much with us today. Well, COVID is still here. Let us be careful, not just for you, but also for the other person next to you. Let us just use wisdom. We are living on a very strange timings, and God is with us. We are not alone. Take care, be safe, and I will see you guys soon with another inspiring conversation just like this one. Stay safe and see you soon.